What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Spill Street Podcast. If you don't know by now, this is the hottest podcast on earth for entrepreneurs and creative professionals. Today's episode, we got a really dope guest in the building, ladies and gentlemen. This brother here happens to be an Atlanta real estate broker, investor, author, coach. And recently, not too long ago, he started a program called the Wealth Partners where entrepreneurs from different industries come together to collaborate and then build on different ideas and investments. Without further ado, I welcome my brother Hakiim Herring in the building. What's going on with you, player?
What's going on, Spill? How you doing, man? Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate the introduction.
No doubt, no doubt, man. We got to bring you in right on this Super Bowl Sunday. It's the least I can do after my Kansas City Chiefs sweep your Eagles. You know what I'm saying? It's the least I can do. I got to show you some kind of love.
Yeah. Nah, it's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be a real battle today, and I'm looking forward to
I
it.
like that. I like that, man. So I want to ask you, right, coming into it, how long have you been in the real estate industry?
I've been in real estate for over 20 years. I'm an OG in the game.
Okay.
So over 20 years strong.
Okay. So over 20 years. So take us back with that, right? Because a lot of times when people want to get into real estate, or if they're curious about the industry, I try to tell people all the time, like, this is a long game industry. Not to say that you can't hit a lick, but it is a long game, especially, for a brother such as yourself that has been this successful in it for this long. So, for the people watching, take us back a little bit. What got you into real estate and how did it shape you into the individual that you are today?
Yeah, man, I got into real estate back. Originally went to DeVry, studying computer
Uh-huh.
science. Really unsure what direction I wanted to
Hmm.
go in life, but one of the things that I always uh, did was read. I would read books like Think and Grow Rich, The Rich Dad Poor Dads, the 48 Laws of Powers. Those books actually helped shape my mind into um, knowing that there's more in the world and it was more for me. In reading those books, I would always read that wealth creation and 90% of millionaires and wealthy people all had a foundation in real estate. So, in reading that helped shape my decision to dive into real estate. So, I started reading more about real estate
Hmm.
investing. I got a mentor, uh, but then I decided I wanted to learn the business side of real estate and wanted to learn from the inside out. So that's what led me to get my real estate license and become a real estate professional.
Now, these days, a lot of times there's so many different ways on YouTube that you can learn to how to get into real estate, whether it be through wholesaling or property tax liens. There's so much information being thrown, like, within milliseconds almost is what it seems like. So,
Hmm.
so based on your experience today, with all the tools we have today, going back, what would you say is the best way for an individual to get into real estate? Would you still say perhaps getting a license, or based on what we have going on today, all of the technology and information, would you say it's a different way that you can get in that's a little bit better than taking your time to study for the real estate exam and investing in that education?
Sure. So that's a great question because, yes, this day and age is a lot of information, a lot of things are readily available at our fingertips. The very first question I would ask an individual is what is their personal
Hmm.
goal? Because their goal is different from my goal,
Hmm.
like it's different from your
Hmm.
goal. So understanding what's their specific goal and what they want to take away from real estate would be important on how I would advise them to move forward. Because you don't have to be a licensed real estate professional to be an investor, right? So you have to be a licensed real estate professional if you want to represent other people and get paid and get a commission for it. But there's so many other ways to get into real estate without having a real estate
Hmm.
license. It all depends on what's your end goal.
I like that.
If your end goal is to build a life and a career in real estate, then
Mhm.
I would say get your license because it opens up so many doors, so many
Mhm.
relationships. You become the resource, the go-to person, whether it's a individual looking for a home or an
Mhm.
investor looking for
Mhm.
opportunities. You have a different vantage point. You have inside access to opportunities.
Mhm.
You have education. You are on top of the market and market trends, all of that valuable information,
Mhm.
right? But back to what you were saying about all the information that's available as far as you on YouTube, as far as wholesaling, tax liens, land bank authorities, and Airbnbs, and all of the things that are available. So the next step I would ask is you have to invest,
Mhm.
right? You're going to invest, whether you invest money or time, right? A lot of times in this day and age, we talk about, you know, how to get rich with no money, how to get rich with no credit.
Right.
There's no such thing.
Mhm.
There's no such thing. You're either going to invest time, and then when I say you're investing time, you're going to invest time in learning.
Mhm.
Whether you learn through studying, you learn through the school of hard knocks, which is high risk, or you learn through mentorship. You're going to invest time in learning, or you're going to invest money. You're going to invest money, whether it be getting a mentor to lead you down that path and get over some of the hurdles and roadblocks that they face so you don't have to face it, right? That's what a mentor does. Or you'll have to invest in education and knowledge to get you on the path of where you want to go. Real estate is the best. When I say the best, it's the best way for you to gain wealth and generational wealth. But I don't believe in the free stance. You're going to pay, whether it's time or money or the school of hard knocks. It's the three ways. So you're going to pay with time invested. You're going to pay for education and or mentorship, or you're going to take the long road and say, hey, I want to do this for free. I want to try it. I want to do this. And then you're going to learn from your
Right.
losses. You're going to learn from the school of hard
Right.
knocks.
And it's funny, man, about like with real estate, right? I would say before I seriously got in, I spoke to a guy named David Anderson, who's an investor out here. I'm not sure if he's still into real estate investing, but I know at the time he was coming to New Birth a lot talking about it. And at this time, like my homies, you know what I'm saying? Like they was doing like wholesaling, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if they was closing or not, but that's what they was doing. They was
Mhm.
like the wholesale game was heavy, I would say. Like what year was that?
Yeah.
2018, 2019.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so it was
Oh
heavy.
yeah.
So I'm up here telling him, me and him wound up getting on the phone one day. And I'm like, yeah, man, but teach me how to wholesale, teach me how to wholesale. And at the time,
Mhm.
like I was like on and off with studying for my real estate exam. I don't think
Okay.
personally when I look back on it, I don't think I had the level of maturity at the time and the level of focus. I just wanted money just so fast. Just give me money.
Yeah.
Like that's
Hmm.
how I was. But he said something to me that touched me for the rest of my life. He said, Spill, you can wholesale and call people all day, but at the end of the day, man, if you don't get that real estate license, you will never be able to create real estate business. And when he
Hmm.
told me that, I said, damn, like, from a legal standpoint, and so many advantages you have with it, I said, damn, okay, so let me humble myself, and just start
Hmm.
from somewhere. And it worked out. I'm looking back at it, I'm glad, I'm saying that's what I did.
Sure.
Yeah. And with you, man, what I really like that you do is you have multiple hats. You're an
Hmm.
author, investor, as well as a coach. You actually teach people these, tactics that you've learned, proven methods that you've learned, day in
Hmm.
and day out. So, like, with you being as busy as you are, what made you want to expand beyond, just being a realtor once you got into this thing?
Yeah. It's all about each one teach one,
Mm-hmm.
and my experience in life, a lot of the things that I've accomplished it through mentorship, and a lot of the lessons I've learned. the hard way, I wish there was someone there guiding me or teaching me these steps or actions. Not to say everything is perfect, because real estate is one of those things where, because it's on YouTube, because it's so sexy, the game is, no one wants to lose,
Right.
right? But real estate is a risk, like all investment. Investment is risk, high risk, high
Hmm.
rewards,
Hmm.
right? Just like the stock market. For some reason, people invest in real estate and expect it to always be roses and
Hmm.
always be a win-win, and it doesn't work that way. But having the right knowledge, the right education is extremely important. So that's what made me
Hmm.
want to share information, want to share knowledge, because there's losses that I've had in the business where I'm like, man,
Hmm.
if I could do it better, if I can do it this way, this is how I would do it. And I will, and I like to share that information. So whenever I have new investors come to me and ask me about real estate investing, or questions about real estate, I'm happy to
Hmm.
share, my knowledge, happy to share the
Hmm.
information. And that's why I created a community to share
Hmm.
knowledge, information, and resources, and make it a point for us to have those conversations, and have a space, a safe space where we can share with each other in our
Mm.
communities.
I love that you said that, man. And speaking of this community, right? I want to go ahead and dive into wealth partners a little bit.
Yes, yes,
Let's talk
indeed. Yes,
about wealth
indeed. That's
partners.
my thing.
I love it, by the way, man. The first wealth partners event I came to, I believe it was January 8th. I believe it was the
Okay.
first big event y'all did. Man, I'm
Hmm.
telling you this, like it felt like what I loved about it was the community, right? Like the whole inspiration of it. I believe it was Martin Luther King weekend.
Hmm.
I love the community. I love the information I got it. It's one of those type of environments that almost holds you accountable to achieving whatever goal you have for investing or branding, right then and there in that space. I feel
Hmm.
that if you are looking for a community, to keep you motivated, if you're looking for people, that's gonna, teach you whatever it is that you feel like you've been lacking, and create that accountability, those wealth partners events that y'all are throwing is definitely where people want to be. And a lot of times when we see people, create, organizations like that, it's because there's some type of problem, that's not being solved. So like, and if I feel like that's what y'all are doing, y'all are solving a problem. So like, what problems did you see that needed to be solved in business, not even necessarily with real estate, but with entrepreneurship? What problems with most entrepreneurs did you see that sparked the idea for creating wealth partners?
Let me take it back a little bit, because I truly don't believe it was necessarily a problem that we're solving. I truly believe in order for us to grow, and this is going back to community, us as a people, as African Americans in our community. I made it a point to launch wealth partners in the historic West End
Hmm.
of Atlanta, historic Black
Hmm.
neighborhood. We could have been anywhere in Atlanta. We could have did Buckhead with the high rollers. We could have been up in Alpharetta.
Hmm.
We could have been, wherever. But I was intentionally about being in the West End, the West Side of Atlanta. We're now at
Hmm.
Pittsburgh Yard, which is still historic communities, where it's important, extremely important for us as a people to start giving back, right? And a lot of times everybody always look for a financial give back, right? So we
Hmm.
always asking, oh, what did the entertainer or athlete, what did they give back? How much money did they give?
Right, right.
You got to start with yourself,
Hmm.
right? And the way you give back is by creating spaces, creating a room,
Hmm.
creating the
Hmm.
community where we can have these conversations.
Hmm.
So for me, it was important, because I'm a real estate professional. My background is real estate, so I can speak on all things real estate. But what I love about Wealth Partners and what we're doing with Wealth Partners, and our motto is collaborate to elevate, right? And it's not just real estate; it's to elevate. So we're taking it a step beyond just real estate and real estate investing, where we're having conversations about government contracting, about business and business branding, or insurance and trust. And we're bringing like business credit. We're bringing powerhouses, big real estate and industry professionals to our community to speak up on these topics and share with individuals in our wealth partners community. And it's totally free. So we've been doing this for a year now, right? We're going on our anniversaries coming up in April, well, just under a year. And the impact that I've seen that we make in the community by bringing these resources and knowledge and the connections, where unlike other places or other like events and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
where individuals charge, or they charge to get this information, they charge you to
Yeah.
get in front of the room, they charge you to ask questions and learn this type of knowledge, where we offer it to our community for free. It's an intimate environment where you can actually speak with the speakers. You know what I mean? You could touch bases, shake hands, ask your own personal questions to get the knowledge and the gems that you actually came
Mm-hmm.
for. So I think that's really unique for what we're doing with Wealth Partners, and we're really making an impact in doing so. So I believe in this. Like, this is like, for me, I say now, because before it was a scenario where you know I, as a real estate professional, you identify as a realtor,
Mm-hmm.
right? As a real estate
Mm-hmm.
professional. Since I started the Wealth Partners community, I'm extremely passionate about making an impact,
Mm-hmm.
So since we've built the community, I address and identify myself as a social impact leader, a social impact investor.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate and a real estate broker is what I do. That's my, that's the what pays the bills. That's what
Mm-hmm.
brings in my income. But being a social impact leader and really impacting the community, that's what I'm extremely passionate about. And as we roll out 2025, we're doing our Wealth Partners events. We host Wealth Partners events every first and 15th Saturday. So bi-weekly,
Mm-hmm.
we're hosting two events a month where we're bringing speakers, hitting everybody with real jewels, real gems, real takeaways, and real knowledge to really change their lives and make a real impact on their community as well.
Nah, man, I love it, man. And the key thing that like I want to go back to that you were speaking on is collaboration. I feel like the key
Mhm.
thing, at least what I got from Wealth Partners, is like the key, that's making this thing so big is the collaboration of people with different
Yeah.
industries, and different
Hmm.
skill sets all coming together. And that's a powerful thing, man. Like I'm curious about this question more so than just getting it out for the people, but like how do you bring so many people, especially like in what I'm saying, in our community, how do you bring so many entrepreneurs together, especially black entrepreneurs from all of these different areas, all of these different industries to create, something so powerful such as Wealth Partners? Because it seemed like y'all give back so much. So how do you bring all of these different people together to create that and make that as successful as it is?
Yeah, it's important to commune with
Mm-hmm.
like minds,
Mm-hmm.
like creating a community of like-minded individuals who believe in giving back, believe in sharing knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
information. And that's our motto. We stand on it. That's the foundation that we believe in: collaboration, where we
Mm-hmm.
collaborate to elevate, where we can actually
Mm-hmm.
go further together than we can
Right.
alone. So having that mantra and having that as our foundational message, we look to work with like-minded individuals who
Mm-hmm.
want to share, who want to connect. The more you give, the more you receive. So it's just a message that we stand on,
Mm-hmm.
and creating a space where you can have like-minded individuals to come, and we encourage doing business together within our community as well.
Mm-hmm.
So coming to a space where you can connect with like-minded individuals and collaborate on business opportunities, I think we're doing something that's extremely unique, and really impactful. So we believe in making real
Mhm.
change and making a real impact in the community.
Nah, I believe that, man. Like we definitely can see it. And speaking of like the collaborations, just going in a little bit. I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but like recently, you and another member of Wealth Partners, Ray Woods. Shout out to Ray Woods if you watching this episode. It's my boy. Y'all recently invested in a
Oh,
property.
Ray, you know my
Well,
brother
I don't know
Ray.
Ray personally, but I remember Ray spoke at the event. He gave me some advice on the podcast, so
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, when I
nice,
asked the
nice.
question about it. So shout out to Ray.
Uh-huh.
And y'all recently, I seen something where y'all recently invested in a property in the Dominican Republic. Can you talk about that a little
Yes.
bit? Like what type of
Yeah,
investment that
yeah.
y'all
So,
do?
yeah, so what happens is in the spirit of
Uh-huh.
collaboration and an opportunity. So it's a couple of things here,
Okay.
right? I believe I believe in collaboration and working together. I also believe in
Uh-huh.
opportunities, right? So a lot of times you can have education and knowledge without the opportunity,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it doesn't go
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. So within Wealth Partners, what we did was um, I have a background of having Airbnbs in Dominican Republic and Punta Cana, right,
Mm-hmm.
which was successful. Um, let me take it back and
So, take your time. Take your time.
yeah. Let me take it back to why I went to do Airbnbs in Punta Cana. So back I would say like what 2017 when the Airbnb game was crazy in Atlanta. Everybody was talking about Airbnbs. They were talking about Airbnbs in Atlanta, Miami, hottest thing going.
Yeah.
So for myself, I wanted to get into the Airbnb space, but I wanted to do it a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
I like to travel.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking for opportunities in vacation destinations where I like to travel
Mm-hmm.
to do
Mm-hmm.
Airbnbs. So I took that same formula of rental arbitrage that individuals were using here in Metro Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
to Punta Cana. And I looked for opportunities to do rental arbitrage strategies for Airbnb hosting and was able to secure multiple Airbnb units and were successful.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I built great relationships in Dominican Republic. So we started doing presentations of real estate investment opportunities in Punta Cana at our Wealth Partners meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, fast forward, it went from presentation because that's the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give an opportunity for individuals to be involved with.
Mm-hmm.
We created a Punta Cana committee from our Wealth Partners meetup
Mm-hmm.
to where we actually had several investors interested in investing in Punta Cana.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a believer in taking action. Like our whole thing is if you're serious about it, I don't like to keep talking. I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we're gonna put on an event, let's do it. If we're gonna invest, let's move in that direction. There were several investors who actually decided this is something they were really interested in. Decided to we booked a ticket, we flew to Punta Cana, and we were boots on the ground looking at properties, touring properties, and we were actually successful at securing a contract on a brand new 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, new
Mm-hmm.
construction property in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. So the partnership we formed was investors from Wealth Partners. We came together in a collaboration, true collaboration to elevate. So that was a real example of how we collaborate to elevate. We all came together to invest on a property, international deal in Punta Cana, where we're closing on that deal. We just signed the official paperwork a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be closing out on that in another 2 or 3 weeks. But that's how you make real impact. That's how you make real change, by collaboration, having a direction, and taking action.
All right, so the property that y'all invested in Punta Cana, um is it more so like a vacation type of home that people will be going to?
Yeah. So the property that we invested in Punta Cana is going to be an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we're actually going to host Airbnb guests
Mm-hmm.
there. It's actually 5 minutes from downtown Punta Cana, 10 minutes from the beach with shuttle service. So it's probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes from the
Mm-hmm.
international airport. So prime location, prime opportunity for Airbnb guests. So we have a strategy that we're going to
Mm-hmm.
utilize to have Airbnb pay off the
Mm-hmm.
property. So then we'll own this property outright. And this is how you create generational wealth, by collaborating with like-minded investors, like-minded individuals, taking
Mm-hmm.
action and really strategically investing in opportunities that can build generational wealth and win on multiple
Mm-hmm.
levels.
So would you say like you can kind of invest into real estate almost like how you would begin to invest in a stock? Like like for an example, like they say invest into what you purchase or invest into what you use. You know, you invested in the place that you like to travel to, you know. So
Sure.
could you use that method all of the time, almost like a stock method?
You can, I mean, like you want to when I look at real estate investments or real estate opportunities, it's really I like to invest for the long term.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a long term, long game. But investing in areas that you frequent is important. Like a lot of times when I speak with new real estate investors, especially in the fix and flip space,
Mm-hmm.
fix and flip investors, like when I get new investors who come to me and say, "Hey, they have an opportunity in Detroit or opportunity in Pennsylvania, and they want to
Mm-hmm.
do their first fix and flip." I'm not a believer in having assets in locations that you don't frequent or you don't understand the market or understand or have the resources like contractors or management teams. If you're not boots on the ground or already have the resources in place for your success, it lines you up for failure,
Mm-hmm.
because real estate is a high risk scenario where you have to navigate these risks for the success. So you want to always put yourself in a position where you minimize the risk, which increases your level of being successful. So, doing the investment opportunity in Punta Cana was solely because it's a place that I've been going to for over the last 10 years. It's a place where I established relationships, I have support, I have the resources. So, I was comfortable enough based on my experience and my resources bringing other investors into play that can follow my lead of investing in the investment strategy there. So, yeah, it's always important to invest where you are, where you have resources, because real estate is a space where there's variables, there's several different variables. And the crazy thing is with real estate, there's variables that's outside of your control.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's important for you to manage that as much as possible.
So what you saying that, right? So if somebody's interested in, for an example, if somebody see, okay, the hot new thing right now is to go invest in a property in Ghana, right? But you've
Mhm.
never been to Ghana, you know, despite the hype of, and shout out to Ghana, by the way. I'm just making this as
Yeah.
an example, y'all. So if you've never been to Ghana, right? You don't know nothing about Ghana. You don't know nothing about how the real estate works in Ghana. Would you recommend going out there to, or just investing your money out there with an investment group who may have something going on out there? Would you recommend that?
So I'm a firm believer in even my the investor our Punta Cana team. I didn't like. I made it a point
Mm-hmm.
for the investors that was interested in investing in Punta Cana that you come to Punta Cana.
Mm-hmm.
Boots on the
Mm-hmm.
ground. The boots on the ground is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scenario to where I don't advise anyone to invest somewhere that they're not familiar
Mm-hmm.
with. You know, relying solely upon someone else to control the success of your
Mm-hmm.
investment limits your ability,
Mm-hmm.
So I keep hearing about Ghana. Like I'm actually going to a Dubai investor. Like my cousin invited me to a Dubai investor opportunity today,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm not a firm believer in investing. Like, so I have an investor, right? She's one of my wholesale students. She invested in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that comes to mind is, how often are you going to go to Dubai? You know, not the what could you do with the property, because everyone is going to sell the highlight. Like, okay, you buy this property, you can
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb it, it'll pay for itself. But my question is, how often are you going to go there?
Mm-hmm.
If you're investing in Ghana, the first thing you need to do is go to Ghana. You may need to go to Ghana for the next 2 to 3
Right.
years. Establish the resources, make those connections, have point people that you can count on. You know, when you touch ground in Ghana, you need to have someone you can call on, someone that can oversee your property, someone that can keep you up to date on what's going on in that market. Because just off the whim, because it's the trending thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in chasing the trend without the knowledge. You know, you have to have a foundation of establishment before diving into it, because again, real estate is high risk, high
Mm-hmm.
rewards, but you want to make sure to practice minimizing that risk and that exposure
Mm-hmm.
and your liability as much as possible. That's how you win in real
I
estate.
like it. I love it, man. I love it. Another thing too, man, when you look at today's time, right? We live in an age where everybody has a program going on. Everybody says, hey, invest in this class. Or hey,
Hmm.
we having this 3-day event. Give me 5 grand. You're gonna be the most motivated you ever been, right? So I want to ask you, like, when we looking at wealth partners, what makes wealth partners different from other real estate or investment programs, because we know wealth partners is not just about real estate. So what
Hmm.
makes it different from all these other programs that are out there?
Oh man, the first thing that come to mind is that it's free.
Yeah.
So that sets us apart, where I wanted to build a community that wasn't based
Mm-hmm.
on membership, wasn't based on charging people. I wanted to build a community to really give back by providing an environment where we can share information,
Mm-hmm.
and offering that to our community for free. I believe it's unique, because yes, the information and the knowledge that you're going to pick up and the connections that you're going to get from wealth
Mm-hmm.
partners, any other place, it would be a charge. It'd be a monthly charge. It'll be a charge at the door. It would be fees associated
Mm-hmm.
with it. For the last year of building our community with wealth partners, the one thing that I'm most proud of is that we were able to keep it free, keep an open door policy, where we open the door for investors, for entrepreneurs alike, to come and connect and collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
So that alone is a game changer. Being in an environment where we're mixing it up, it's not just real estate. You can come any given Saturday that we host an event, and you're gonna leave with some gems, with some jewels, right? You're gonna leave with some real impactful information. And on top of that, you're gonna leave with some real connections. You're gonna meet somebody. And we make it a point to introduce yourself. We make it a point that you not only introduce yourself, you talk about what you do, because I'm a firm believer in that person right next to you. You never know who you're sitting
Never
next to.
know.
So when you introduce yourself and what you do, it puts you on in a position to where the person that you need to take your business to the next level may be sitting right next to you, or may be right there in that room. So we create an environment of collaboration. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what sets us apart from some of the other
I
communities.
like that. And speaking on community, man, one thing I admire about you is that you're real big on community, right? Like I heard you say that this year, your objective is to help 100 families become
Mhm.
homeowners. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say you
Yes.
said that? Okay.
Yeah. Wealth
Okay.
Partners. Yeah. Wealth Partners.
Right.
100. 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you feel that that's important in today's time?
Well, Wealth Partners 100 initiative, and when we created the Wealth
Mm-hmm.
Partners 100 initiative, we wanted to touch across several different
Mm-hmm.
uh, industries, or several different lanes.
Mm-hmm.
But home ownership is extremely
Mm-hmm.
important. It's the foundation
Mm-hmm.
of generational wealth. I believe everyone should own property,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Whether it be a home, a piece of land, you should own something. And it's important for us because as minorities, it was taken away from us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was a scenario
Mm-hmm.
where they set the bar so high that a lot of our grandparents and our past generations weren't able to achieve that
Mm-hmm.
foundation. Like you have to have that one stepping stone to pass down to the generation so they can take it a step further and a step further. So for us at Wealth Partners, it's extremely important that we double down on the information and the resources that we need in our community. So from home ownership to financial education to speaking about wills and trusts and estates and you know business and business funding and establishing a business. These are all conversations and things that we need in our community. And here's the thing
Mm-hmm.
too, for the fact that it's on YouTube in this day and age, information is readily available. It's there. But the one thing I will say about the information that's available online, it's a lot of information to consume. But when it comes to applying it and actually getting out there and doing it, a lot of people don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
do it, right? So we can talk about um, I see this diagram all the time on Instagram and TikTok about the trust, where the guy drawing a stick figure and say, "Hey, you put the LLC here, and then the trust here, and then
Yeah.
this, and you protect this." It all looks good, but once that 60-second reel is done, how do you actually apply that in real
Right.
life? You
Right.
know, or you go online and someone's talking about buying a home, no money down, you do this, and that. But how is that applied in real
It's so
life?
many different ways, and I just want to throw that out there. Like people, it is possible to quote unquote get a home with little to no money down, whether you invest in
Yeah.
a purchasing a home, but that does not apply to everybody. So, going into what you're saying, not to cut you off, like
Mhm.
like it's a certain way you have to apply the information, like you saying, like you
Sure.
gotta find out if you qualify for this, if you qualify for that. You have to learn to see if you're in that position, and you don't get that on a lot of these like 1 minute, 2 minute, sound
Yeah.
bites that people just love to eat up. Like my cousin send me some
Yeah.
like every other day, like, hey man, what you think about this investment? They got this for X. I'm like, Negro, you was not in that position to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's real. It's real. Like I said, the information is there. It's just the how to apply it
Hmm.
is the missing
Right.
piece. So can you get a property no money down? Yeah, there's down payment assistance programs. There's USDA loans where you can buy outside of the metropolitan,
Hmm.
outside of the major
Hmm.
cities to get 100% financing.
Hmm.
There's so many different strategies to apply this stuff, but you have to know how to do it. And
Hmm.
it's not a one size fit all
Right.
scenario. And there's another thing that's extremely important is people have to do the work.
Right.
You know, can it be done? Yes, but are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to do what it takes to apply that? That's the
Hmm.
thing that I think is missing is because in our society
Hmm.
now, everything is quick. People want it quick.
Boy.
They want it quick and they want it easy.
Hmm.
If it's not quick and it's not and it's not easy, they don't want any parts of
Mm-mm.
it. But that's the facade I think that the social media age gives, that you can get everything quickly with no money and super quick, and it's not always like
Yeah.
that without the
And it,
work.
it goes back to what you said earlier, though, man. You said, like, no matter how you look at it, no matter which way you go, you either going to be investing in a lot of knowledge, or you're going to be investing, a lot of dollars into, putting money behind something. Either way it goes,
Mhm.
it's no quick way. At the end of the day, you can try to find as many shortcuts as possible to get up that mountain. But at the end of the day, you're gonna always realize, damn, I should have just kept walking up the mountain. I would have been at the top already. So
Yeah, you want to
yeah.
know the short. You want to know the shortcut. You want to know
Hmm.
the hack, the real life hack to achieve this
Hmm.
stuff is mentorship.
Yeah.
is mentorship. The real life
Mm-hmm.
hack is put yourself in environments, put yourself in rooms, connect with people who've already been there and ask questions, connect, be of service. Like I was at an event on Thursday, where I was speaking to a brother, and he's a part of a investment group, a big investment group. This event that I went to was like it's all the big wigs in the commercial real estate space in Metro Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this brother's a black guy, uh, younger guy. He can't be no more than 50 years, 50 or 60 years old. He owns 200 units in Stockbridge, 200 units in Savannah, 200 units here. And speaking with him, he's talking about 200 unit apartment complexes. Like he's talking about it like it's a cup of coffee.
Right.
Yeah, 200 units here, 200 units there, 200. And as I'm speaking to him, I'm telling him what I do, and I'm in the West End, social impact leader. He was like, "Man, you're in the West End. You need to talk to my guy. He has 150 units over in English Ave. He has 100 units here. This."
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say you have to make those connections. You
Mm-hmm.
have to look for mentorship. You have to be in rooms with individuals who are at the place where you want to go, right? And when you connect with those individuals, be of service. You know, the one thing I love about people as well, when you get to a certain level of success, you want to share,
Mm-hmm.
you want to give back. It's like, especially in our community, it's like, hey, it's something
Mm-hmm.
in us
Mm-hmm.
that we want to give back. We want to help others on the road to success as well, because they may have not had it. But when you look for mentorship, I'm a strong believer is that you can't just go hat in hand. You can't just go like it's a running joke that we have in the industry, when people want to pick your brain, right? They want to take you to
Right.
lunch
Right.
and pick your
Right.
brain, right? And they take you to lunch and pick your brain, and they get all of the answers that they need for their success. But what do they offer
Mm-hmm.
you? A cup of coffee, a
Right. Right.
sandwich? You have to be of service,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I encourage anyone, if you're looking for mentorship, look for individuals that you connect with, but look for ways that you could be of service. Like ask them when you sit down and have a strategy session or have that one-on-one call. The first question you need to ask them is, what do you need? Because they don't need you. They're
Mm-hmm.
already
Mm-hmm.
here. The individual who owns 200 units here, 200 units there, my conversation with him is, how could I be of service to you? How could I help
Mm-hmm.
you? What are the things that are going on that are some areas where you may need a real estate broker, or you may need some assistance? You may need someone to run numbers or check properties or do this. How could I be of service? Because that's where your value comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I sit down with this individual and just have a whole hour-long conversation asking questions about what I need, by the time we hang up that phone call, you think I'm the first person he's going to think of
Absolutely
and
not.
call me back?
Hell
No.
no.
Because the whole conversation was me asking him about what I need versus what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have those conversations and you're in the rooms and you're in those arenas, make sure you're coming from a stance of service. Because if you do, when that phone call ends and he's on his day-to-day busy day and he's like, hey, I need someone to run some numbers. I need someone to take a look at this property. This property may be down in Macon. I can't make it down there. But I remember that call with this young man. His name was Hakeem. He offered service. Let me see if he's available or willing to run down to Macon and take a look at this 300 unit apartment complex that I'm working on, this $10 million deal. That's where you win. That's the game changer. Get in the rooms, make those connections, and be of service. It's not always about what you want or what you want to get, especially if you want to get to that next level. That's like what interning is all about. Interns work for free, but they make those connections by being of service. But I think we forget that on our road to success. No matter how successful you are, even myself, there's different levels that I want to achieve. And the only way to get there is to be of service.
I like that you said that too, man, because I feel like a lot of times what holds people back from mentorship, or at least people who are serious about mentorship, is they feel like, man, I ain't really got the bread to pay for mentorship. Or like,
Hmm.
any bread I do get is multi-million-dollar cat. Like, man, it ain't gonna mean shit to them. No way. Just if somebody is
Hmm.
in a pessimistic, mind state. But like what you said with the internship, that's actually a great way to look at being of service, because when you think
Yeah,
about it,
yeah.
like an intern is just making themselves available to be of service. If I'm not mistaken, I think Kanye West was at an internship at one of the big fashion houses. I forget the names.
Hmm.
Maybe I can't remember if it was
Yeah,
Louis or Fendi. And,
yeah,
and
for
and this
free.
is
Yeah,
like, and this is college dropout Kanye. You feel what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like,
Already a
yeah,
multi-millionaire, and just
exactly.
had an intern for free so he can learn and be of
Yeah,
service. But knowledge that he learned from there allowed him to launch Yeezy
yeah.
brand and become a billionaire. Yeah.
Absolutely. You feel what I'm saying? So for the people that's
Mhm.
watching, don't always feel like, now don't get me wrong, if you got it, I do believe in paying your mentor if you got it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you got skills and you need information, making yourself of service is, like Hakeem said, that's one of the best ways to get in good with a mentor, and begin to grow and build those relationships. It's going to give you those cheat codes to achieve what you want to
Yeah.
achieve in life a lot faster. And speaking of like mentorship and coaching, right? From a lot, I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of people. You helped a lot of people get to the next level, within your 20 years of business and real estate and other ventures. So,
Hmm.
for people that's watching, right, I'm big on, people being careful of what not to do, right? So, in the
Hmm.
first year of business, what mistake do you see a lot of people, make in the real estate business, or just entrepreneurship as, in general? What's the first mistake that you see people make in business?
Doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
First, doing too much. And what I mean by that, because I've made that mistake. I've made that mistake a couple of times. And as a successful uh, entrepreneur, successful
Mm-hmm.
investor, everyone, especially if you're in this space, because you, as an entrepreneur, you have a thirst to win,
Mm-hmm.
a thirst to
Mm-hmm.
succeed, and it's a drive that pushes you to these next levels.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to operate strategically, and as a new investor, new entrepreneur, take calculated risk and take your time. A lot of times in business, and especially in real estate, you'll hear individuals like, hey, I got this fix and flip. I got this property going on. I got this project going on. I got this going on. And when you sit back and listen to them, they got multiple different things going on and they're spread really thin. Quickest way to failure is by spreading yourself too thin and doing too much. Even a business owner, like say someone who's maybe in the restaurant industry, may have been um, had a food truck, but immediately wants to jump into a restaurant ownership or open up multiple locations instead of focusing on getting that one location to be the best that it can be, right? Like I have a friend of mine who opened up several cafes. He had one cafe in New York and Harlem was doing great. He decided to open up another one in the Bronx, another one in Yonkers, another one here, instead of focusing on that one. And I've been there as well in real estate with real estate fix and flip properties. Instead of focusing on that one project, getting it done, getting it all the way through to the end for sales sign in the yard and selling it, making the money, then going to the next one, or getting to the end of that project and going to the next one. Anytime you spread yourself too thin, you open up yourself for risk. So the advice I would give any investor, entrepreneur is take your time, calculate the risk, pace yourself, get your project or get your investment to the space where it needs to be for you to win, for you to succeed, then go to the next one. Don't spread yourself too thin by trying to do too much too fast.
I definitely agree with that, man. Like doing
Yeah.
one thing
And
at a
there's nothing,
time.
there's nothing wrong with having big
Mm-hmm.
goals and big dreams and wanting to
Mm-hmm.
be the best and the top. You're supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
and I encourage that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'm saying is map out your game plan, take your time and take those
Mm-hmm.
steps. Get the mentorship, get the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, build yourself up, go to the next step. And there's levels to it. So as you go through each level, you just pace yourself and you win.
Yeah.
When you spread yourself too thin, you open yourself up for risk, and then you have failure. Then you got to get back on the ladder again.
Nah, you right
That's
about that
what
though.
I have a podcast called Lessons Not Losses. We're actually launching it next month in
Okay.
March, where Lessons Not Losses, we solely speak on the losses that turned into lessons in business. So
Mm-hmm.
we have different entrepreneurs, we have attorneys, we have builders, we have a bunch of different people who come on our podcast to talk about some of the losses that they've had on the way to success. It's a little bit different than what we preach in the society now. Is all about wins, 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 and no one talks about the losses or the bumps in the road on the way to success and how they got back on the ladder. So I thought it was important to open up that conversation. Let's talk about some of the trials and tribulations on the way to success. And it's going to be an incredible podcast. We got
It
some
definitely
dynamic
is.
guests.
Yeah.
We're gonna really bring it.
No, that's gonna be dope, man. Because I often tell people, right, like success, you get successful from what you fail from. When you look
Oh
at
yeah,
like when you look at the most successful people in this world, like a lot of their lessons they learned, was because like of what happened when
failure,
they
failure.
failed. I know Jay-Z says
Yeah,
that a lot, like in a lot of different
yeah.
interviews, like he has, like I hate to keep running back to Jay-Z, as a reference, but
I see you're a hip
yeah,
hop head.
yeah, but like but I feel like it's true though. Like most people learn like from how they feel. Even if you look at like Michael Jordan, right, coming back this,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was gonna
yeah,
say Michael Jordan.
he got cut from
Michael
the high
Jordan.
school team. This
No,
motherfucker went
let's
on to win six
no.
rings. Like,
Listen, let me say this, right? On that Michael Jordan,
uh,
right? So there's no winning without losing. There's no
right,
success without failure, right? But even speaking to Michael Jordan, quote unquote, greatest basketball player of all times. We talk about the last minute buzzer
yeah,
beaters, winning the shot, the game winning shot, but we don't talk about the thousands of shots that he missed.
yeah,
We don't talk about the thousands of shots in the gym that were bricks. We don't talk about the countless hours and hours of shooting in the gym to become as great as he is. So those failures, those missed shots are considered failures. Those failures allowed him to tweak his shot. Those failures allowed him to get his aim and his range on point. Those failures allowed him to build the confidence to take that winning buzzer beater shot. So it's all about the lessons that you learn from your failures and how you tweak it, how you do it better, how you get back up on the ladder. And the only cheat code is to learn for someone who've been there before. Like if you could go in the gym right now with Michael Jordan and say, "Hey, how do I take this shot?" Guaranteed that mentorship can have you well advanced down the line than you would yourself, or learning on your own. So that's the power of mentorship, and that's the true life hack.
right. So, man, I want to ask you this, right? It seems like you are like, despite the success you have at this point, it seems like it's like almost endless, like for you, right? Especially
Mhm.
with the wealth partners creation. So, like, I just want to ask, man, like, I'm curious, what's the sole purpose for wealth partners? Like, what legacy do you want to leave behind from this organization?
Man, that's a great question. The legacy of Wealth Partners and the goal of Wealth Partners is truly to make an impact in our
Mm-hmm.
community. Really build a community where collaboration is the key, in a space where individuals could come together,
Mm-hmm.
do business together, share knowledge and resources. My legacy, I want to build wealth partners, and the partnerships and the collaborations that we're doing is for individuals to know when they are a part of the wealth partners community,
Mm-hmm.
they're in a space where they're coming to grow. They're coming to connect
Mm-hmm.
with like-minded individuals, and we're taking
Mm-hmm.
action and taking initiative.
Mm-hmm.
So this community is not about talking. We're all about taking action and what we're doing and moving in the direction of accomplishing goals. So that's the impact we're going to leave on our community, is that
Mm-hmm.
we are individuals who are coming together to truly make an impact.
I feel like Wealth Partners is literally the next biggest thing in Atlanta of network groups in general.
Yeah.
So how can people join Wealth Partners and begin to network and grow their businesses?
Yeah, so Wealth Partners, you can always tap into us at wealthpartners.world is our website, where you can actually join our Facebook community. We also post a lot on Eventbrite and in our Facebook group,
Mm-hmm.
where you can see the upcoming events. We're actually located in Pittsburgh Yard, so every first and 15th Saturday of every month, we're hosting big
Mm-hmm.
events where we have speakers coming. Like I said, this coming Saturday, February 15th, we're hosting the six-figure blueprint
Mm-hmm.
to success, how to build multiple streams of income and scale to six
Mm-hmm.
figures. With today's economy, with everything going on, everything uncertain, interest rates are high, inflation is high, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
uncertainty. And the true key to wealth is having multiple sources of income. We're bringing speakers to the table to talk to our community about how to have multiple streams of income and how to scale to six figures. It's going to be incredible.
Can't wait to be at that event, man. You already
Yeah,
know
yeah.
I'm RSVP. You did.
Let's
All
go.
right.
Let's go.
Hey man, Hakeem, it's been a beautiful interview, my brother. I appreciate you for coming in, man. Before we close out, let the people know how they can find you and keep up with your work.
Yes, sir. My name is Hakiim Herring, your real estate partner. You can tap in and locate me on all social media, Hakiim Herring. My website, hakeemherring.com. I look forward to connecting. If you tuned in, feel free to reach out. Drop spill, and I know where you came from, but I'm all about collaboration. So let's collaborate to elevate. Hakiim Herring, your real estate partner.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be dropping all of that in the description below.